मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। रत्नाकराद्धौतपदां हिमालयकिरीटिनीं ब्रह्मराजर्षिरत्नाढ्यां वन्दे भारतमातरम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Welcome everyone to this unique course called the Stories from the Upanishads, Lessons for a Meaningful Life. We have already completed 10 sessions and 10 stories giving us hundreds of life lessons. Today, we are on the 11th day addressing a wonderful story from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Just the previous story was about Yajnavalkya, and we all know Janaka organized such a big yajna, and at the end of the yajna, he wanted to know the greatest scholar, the greatest Brahmagyani. And who was the victorious person? We all know that was none other than Yajnavalkya. But do we all remember why Janaka conducted such a competition where he was ready to give thousands of cows to know who was the Brahmagyani so that he can approach him as the disciple? So today, what we are going to discuss is the conversations between the greatest king that India had, that is Janaka, and the greatest rishi that India has witnessed, that is the Yajnavalkya. So Yajnavalkya and Janaka Samvada. And today we all speak about, we don't have time for Vedanta, we don't have time for self-inquiry, we are very busy, we can't manage time. But can you ever imagine such a great ruler, an administrator, a social worker, and he was a king by himself? In spite of all these things, he could make time for himself for self-inquiry and Vedantic inquiry. And that is the reason he always had many scholars around him. That too, they are called as the Navaratnas, the 9 great scholars who are like the jewels of the whole Vedic wisdom. And today we are going to witness few conversations between Yajnavalkya and Janaka. The first and foremost, Yajnavalkya has come to meet Janaka in his kingdom. He is sitting on his throne. Many people have assembled. Many citizens have come. He is addressing each and every person's issue as his own. He is having that kind of an empathy where he is feeling for the needs of the people. And while addressing the issues, he saw Yajnavalkya sitting along with everyone. That moment, he stood up, directly went to Yajnavalkya, prostrated him, paid the respects, and took him and placed him in a proper place. And he, after paying the tributes and respects to him, he asked directly, "O Maharshi, why are you here? What made you to come here? I can only offer 2 things. One, thousands of cows and wealth. The second is the questions on philosophy." Most of us may feel, what could be the answer from Yajnavalkya? We all feel, definitely it would be the philosophical questions. But few materialistic people may think, it would not be proper to just ask for philosophical questions. Cattle or wealth, that matters the most. But what did Yajnavalkya say? He said, I have come for both. I have come for both. Now, everyone may think like, why did Yajnavalkya chose both? This is the reason why we have to go for the stories, and we have to understand how our rishis could balance both materialistic pursuits and spiritual pursuits. They never disregarded any of those. Dharma, Artha, Kama are equally important to the moksha, because on the foundation of Dharma, Artha, Kama, you can attain moksha. So, in that reason, Yajnavalkya said, I am here for both. And we may think, why both? First and foremost, why did he require so much of wealth and all those things? Not for himself. He was a Brahmagyani, he was a rishi. He had chosen poverty voluntarily. So that is the reason he is not asking for himself, but he is a chancellor of a big Gurukula where thousands of children are studying. So to maintain the needs of so many students, he is asking for material wealth. And how about questions? He is a walking encyclopedia. Just in the previous session we have seen, he was ready for any number of questions from any number of people to answer and quench their thirst for knowledge. So that is the reason he told, I am ready for both. When this was told, Janaka arranged huge gifts on one side. On the other side, he made preparations for himself to ask questions. And the conversation was about to begin. At that time, Yajnavalkya stopped. Yajnavalkya stopped Janaka, said, I want to ask you a few questions. Janaka was puzzled. I thought I would offer him some questions, but he himself is asking me questions. Okay, tell me. Guruji, tell me, what do you want to know from me? Then Yajnavalkya told, I am not asking you any questions, but I want to know how much you have already learned, how much you have already studied, because you are always with the scholars, Navaratnas, the Pandits, priests. So I want to know how much you know so that I can either edit, add, delete, whatever necessary I can do in the teaching, and I can complete the teaching if necessary. And this was not just a question, this was a test conducted by Yajnavalkya to Janaka. Why? Because many of us, or many of the people around the world we have seen, they have people around them just for the showpiece. They want to show that, yes, I am also a good person, I have so many people around me, I also listen to Bhagavad Gita, I also go for Upanishads class. Is this the same mindset that Janaka also had? This was what that Yajnavalkya wanted to know. Yajnavalkya was testing, is he just hearing to the instructions, or is he listening to the instructions? Is he adopting whatever instructions he has received? So he asked, whatever instructions you have received from any number of people, tell me what you have undergone. When this was told, Janaka made himself, prepared himself for whatever he knew, and initially he told, today I will take up the meditation techniques that I have received from my gurus. I had six gurus. From each of them, I have learnt one technique of meditation on the Supreme, not on basic things, on the Supreme Ishvara. Yajnavalkya told, okay, please tell me, what was it? And can you tell me the details, what you have learned? Then he told, I had a guru called Jitva, the name of the rishi, that the guru from whom he received was Jitva. He has taught me a meditation on Ishvara, the Supreme God. And how to meditate? He has told, the word itself is Ishvara. The words that we use is Ishvara. And I meditate on this so that in every word, whatever I speak, I see Ishvara. Is it correct? When this was told, Yajnavalkya smiled, appreciated Janaka, because he has not just heard the instruction, he has listened, he has practiced, and he's on his way to the perfection. That's why even Yajnavalkya says, your guru whom you mentioned, Jitva, he is not just a normal Acharya, he is Matraman, Pitraman, Acharyavan. Means who had a good parentage, who had a good teacher. Without that, no one can teach such a great thing, because words are very important in our life. Probably we wouldn't have understood the importance of it. Words are like fire. You can kindle the lamp, or it can become a forest fire and destroy the relationships. That is the reason he mentioned fire, if you use it properly, that can make other person smile. If you abuse it or misuse it, that can destroy the person. So fire is Ishvara, and the fire is manifested as the word. And Janaka told, this is what I have learned. Is it right? Yajnavalkya told, wonderful, this is proper. But what about next? Okay, tell me, what are the details that you know about the meditation? Then Janaka told, no, I only know this much. Why is this not complete? Then Yajnavalkya says, no, whatever you have learned is correct, but not complete. Janaka asked, what else should I know about this? Then he told, 4 more things needs to be added, which I will add now. Because I have known the teaching that you already know, now I will complete the teaching. What are the 4 things? The first and foremost is the Devata. The Devata you should understand. When you are thinking about words, don't just assume it as mere words. Words come from mouth, and the Devata is Agni. So think about Agni as the Supreme. Second, Ayatanam. Ayatanam meaning location, where you have to meditate. When you are closing your eyes and meditating on words, where you should meditate is at the throat or the tongue, from where all these words come. So you should meditate. The location of meditation has been told as ayatanam. The third is the pratishtha. Pratishtha means support. Who supports even that Agni? Even that Agni is a part of the cosmic being which is called the Hiranyagarbha. So that is why he says Pratishtha as Hiranyagarbha or the supreme being. The last is Upanishad. Upanishad, what do you mean by that? Here Yajnavalkya means Upanishad as the secret word. Just like we get the Nama, the name, divine name for a god, he is telling you should know the divine name even for words. And he instructs these 4 things along with the word, and after that he tells now your education, now your meditation is complete. Tell me next, what do you know? Then he says, then Janaka was very happy knowing the 4 aspects that Yajnavalkya gave, and he told, now I want to give you 1,000 cows along with so much of wealth. Please accept my gift. He could have taken, because he himself have told, I have come here for questions and I have come here for wealth. But do you know what Yajnavalkya said? Yajnavalkya says, I come from a family where my father has told, without completing the teaching, don't take dakshina. Don't take dakshina without completing the teaching. If there is anything which is still incomplete, till that time I will not take the wealth or guru dakshina. Then, okay, then what do you want to achieve now? I want to know what else you know about the meditation. Go ahead. He said, the second Acharya, he has taught prana as the Ishvara, the life force. Here also, Yajnavalkya completes the teaching by giving the 4 important items, which are the Devata, Vayu Devata, Ayatanam, the breathing, the respiratory, basically the nostril, Pratishtha, the same Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Upanishad, the Rahasya Nama. Then he goes for the next one, which is called the eyes, the Chakshu, as the Brahman. Later, it was ears, the mind, and the last as the heart. For each of these things, for 6 locations, he identifies the 6 devatas, and he says, whatever is cosmic, the same thing is within you. Identify that and start meditating. After completing the 6 meditations, Janaka was very happy and he offers him the 1,000 cows, and Yajnavalkya accepts and goes back. Here we can see one more fortunate thing that happened to Janaka. Many a times we go to gurus, seek knowledge, but here Guru himself has come to the Shishya to give knowledge. But it was not always the case. Janaka, though a ruler, though a king, he was going many a times to meet Yajnavalkya in the forest in Gurukula. That was the reason in Gurukula, which was in forest, Yajnavalkya, every day a seat was reserved. A seat was reserved for Janaka. Whether he comes or not, a seat will be always reserved, and it is waiting for Janaka to come. And many students are there, because Yajnavalkya, a great teacher, many students are there in his Gurukula. When he is taking the classes, one seat remains empty many a times. But sometimes Janaka comes and occupies that place, hears to the teaching, listens to the teaching, starts questioning and gets to know the reality. This is the routine that was happening. Many people in the Gurukula, many students had great respect for Janaka because he was such a great ruler. They had Guru Bhakti towards Yajnavalkya. But they always felt, without Janaka coming to the Gurukula, why an empty seat is reserved for Janaka? What makes him so special? I think our Guru Yajnavalkya is desirous of the cattle and wealth that he gets from the king. That's why he's giving that partiality. He's moving away from the fairness. I think that's the reason he's making all these arrangements, extra arrangements for a VIP, so-called very important person. And this was in few students' hearts, and it became an expression in words. They started discussing, and it didn't take much time to arrive to the notice of Yajnavalkya. So one day he thought he should show the reason why he chose Janaka as one of the supreme disciples. So one day a lecture is going on the supreme concept of Atman, the self. Janaka has also come. Janaka has occupied that seat, and many other students are also sitting. At that time, Yajnavalkya calls one of his disciples and gives him a message personally, privately, and he goes back. And he starts giving his lecture, discourse about the self. who is self, what is the nature of self. He's giving an important teaching about the reality. When these things were happening, all students are attentive, and Janaka is also equally or more than others, is attentively listening to the class. At that time, one of the servant from the king's side, he comes and starts shouting, "Fire, fire, fire! Our palace has caught fire, and even few of the huts in the forest has caught fire. Please go and survive. There are many people who are getting affected because of it, and there are many things that are getting affected out of it." And all the students started running to protect their belongings and to protect their people. But one person was unmoved by all these things, and that was Janaka. And of course, Yajnavalkya is sitting calm because he knows the reason why he has done. Janaka is sitting silent, listening to the instruction. Yajnavalkya, without getting disturbance, he is giving the teaching. And all other people ran in different directions to protect them, to protect their belongings. And after a few minutes, they all come back and they all complain. All complain to Yajnavalkya, saying, one of the servant who came and announced he was a liar. There was no fire. There is nothing which is happening. We had to just go out of the class. We missed the class just because of one person who misled all of us. And that's when Yajnavalkya said, he didn't miss. He never lied. I asked him to tell that. Why did you make this, Guruji? Then Yajnavalkya said, you all went in different directions to protect your belongings. And what are your belongings? A kaupina, a dhoti, a uttariyam, just all these things. You're trying to protect all these things which are nowhere important. But here is a person, Janaka, when it was told even the palace is burning, he was never moved. And when he was asked, why didn't you go? He said, when I am in king's court, I am the king. But when I am here, I am the disciple. Whatever happens, I don't care. I am here for self-knowledge. And for this reason, he is special to me. Did you all had these kind of earnestness, determination, dedication to the learning? And he continued to say, his mind was completely occupied with only one thought, that is the self. But you were occupied with many other thoughts that were there in your heart, which was waiting for the opportunity to manifest. And that is the laukika, the materialist things. That's the reason Yajnavalkya makes Janaka an outstanding student in all of his discourses. This is one more conversation that Yajnavalkya and Janaka had. In one more conversation, Yajnavalkya again comes to the king's court, and Janaka goes and he gives the required respect, due respect, and he makes him sit on the one of the proper place. Then he asks, today at least can I ask question? Before that, again, Yajnavalkya stops him saying, I want to know few things from you. What are those? Last time, I taught you 6 meditations with 4 more aspects that you didn't know. Have you meditated on those things? Have you meditated on the 6 aspects of the supreme reality, which is in the cosmic being, which is also there in yourself? Meaning, you are a part of God. Have you meditated it? Janaka says, yes, I have meditated. And he gives the complete description of how he meditated and what all experience he got. He explained all those things. And Yajnavalkya felt very happy because very rarely teachers get such good obedient students who follow the instructions of teacher verbatim. And not for the benefit of the teacher, but for themselves. He was very happy. Then he asked, you are a grihastha, you are a king, you are supposed to do one karma called Agnihotra. Are you doing it? Janaka said, yes, it's my daily duty. I perform the Agnihotra every day. Do you know the meaning of Agnihotra? Do you know what deity should be invoked at that time? Janaka told, yes, I know. Can you explain that? Janaka explained it in detail, which mesmerized Yajnavalkya, because a king with so much of knowledge on Vedic rituals, Vedic Upasana, he was so happy. This time, the role got exchanged. What role? Yajnavalkya said, today I am ready to give you a boon. You ask me for anything. You ask me anything in the 3 worlds, I am ready to give. And all the ministers and all scholars surrounded were waiting to see what Janaka will ask. Because first time a Brahmarshi is coming and offering him any boon. People could have asked anything. If you were given a chance, what would you ask? Just think about yourself. But when the offer came to Janaka, he told, I want a boon, and that boon is Prashna Kamaha. Prashna Kamaha, meaning I should be able to ask any questions, any point of time to you about any topic. Star, no conditions apply. This is the boon that I want. Can you imagine the kind of seeking that he had, the kind of yearning towards knowledge he had? He never asked for anything material. He never asked for a child. He never asked for relationships. He never asked for meditation. He asked for knowledge. And that too what? He should be satisfied with all the questions, all the answers that are given, that will be given by Yajnavalkya to him. And Yajnavalkya told, so nice of you. I thought you would ask something materialistic. I thought you would ask the ritual to go to heaven, Brahmaloka. I was even ready for that. But you are asking a question about the Brahman, about the Atman. I'll be very happy, and you are given with that. Tathastu. And that moment, he leaves the palace and he goes back. And after days have passed, months have passed, probably few years also. That day, Yajnavalkya is coming back to Janaka's court. For what reason? He wanted some resources for the Gurukula. So he's approaching the king to meet the resources, to give few kinds of wealth so that it can meet the resources of Gurukula. So he is approaching. While coming, he's filled with Atmagyana and he's so poised, composed. That moment, he takes a sankalpa, resolution, that today I will not go for any debates or discussions. Today I will not go for any debates or discussions. Janaka will ask, I can offer two things. One is the wealth, the other is the questions. And I will ask only for the first one, that is wealth. And I will ask, how is everything going on? If there is anything required at the superficial level, I will talk and come back. This is the reason I'm going. This is the sankalpa that Yajnavalkya has made in his heart, and he has reached the palace. And the same, the Atiti Devo Bhava, Guru Devo Bhava, the same tributes and respects were given to Yajnavalkya. He was made to sit on a respectable place. And Janaka, looking at Yajnavalkya, he could understand the heart of Yajnavalkya with full of bliss within, knowledge radiating out. He is not uttering even a single word. Janaka asked, how are you and everything, and with deep, dignified voice from the depth of the heart, Yajnavalkya is speaking very minute things, very soft, dignified. That moment, Janaka thought, this is the right day. This is the right moment. I should use my boon. And what was the boon? The boon is Prashna Kamaha. The Prashna Kamaha means I can ask questions. Now, Janaka says, Maharshi, today I want to ask you questions. Yajnavalkya remembers his words and he says, okay, you have any questions? You ask. With half-heartedness, he thought he will ask someone simple question, and he thought, okay, let me answer it. Because he is full of that bliss. He is in a meditative mood. That too, meditating on what? The ultimate infinite Brahman. So at that moment, Janaka takes this as an opportunity and wants to take Yajnavalkya to the highest teaching. So he starts with a very silly question. What is it? Maharshi, the whole world is activated. The whole world, each and every person is moving around, doing all the duties, going and coming back. Lot of activities are going on. Because of which light? Because of which light all these activities are happening? And probably we all feel, what is this? Is this a philosophical question? The same question came to even Yajnavalkya. He told, Janaka, don't you know it? It is the sunlight. It is the sunlight. Because of the sunlight, when sun arises, all people wake up. When sun starts giving more light, the whole world will get energy. Everyone starts moving. They go and do their respective duties. And when sun starts setting, they all come back and they withdraw on the day and they sleep off. So the whole world is moving and activated because of one light, and that is the sunlight. Is your questions over? Janaka says, no, I have one more question. What is it? When sun sets, will the activity stop? I don't think so. People will still be doing the activities. They will be moving around. They'll be doing many actions. Lot of activities happen. When sun sets, what is that light which activates every person to do all actions that they do? Yajnavalkya opens his eyes in his meditative mood. He says, Janaka, don't you know it? When sun sets, there is one more light. Though it's a reflection, there is one more light, which is the moonlight. Moonlight is responsible for all the people to take up all actions, all activities. They come, they go, they wander around, they come back and rest in their places. So, after the sunlight, if there is any light that can contribute for the whole world being, it is the moonlight. Are you done? And he started meditating. Maharshi, I have a doubt. When the sun sets and even the moon doesn't arise in the sky, assume the Amavasya day, no moon day. At that time, what is that light which makes the person to take up actions, do all activities, wander around, come back? Tell me, what is that light? Yajnavalkya opens his eyes and says, when sun is set, when there is no moon, there is one more light, which is the light in the fire. If you have to take it today, it is the electricity, the Vidyut Shakti. The electricity that makes each and every person move around, take up actions, do all the activities, come back and relax and rest. And he thought the questions are over and he started meditating again. But Janaka, Maharshi, when the sun is set, when moon is not there, when you don't have the fire, what is that light that makes a man to move around, take up all actions and do all the activities? Tell me this. Yajnavalkya understands the depth of the question and he says, when the sun is set, when there is no moon, when there is no availability of the fire, the next light is the speech. The words. Most of us may be thinking, sun is light, correct. Moon is light, correct. Fire is light, correct. But how can speech or words be light? Here, light means the question is not about a physical light. He's telling what impels everyone to do actions, what impels everyone to move around and do activities. Just assume a night where there is no moon, of course no sun, no fire, and you want to move. You are in a dark room and someone calls you and you would know from which direction it comes. Depending on the voice, you move to that place and hear from that person. Do all activities, come back. Even during, probably assume when you are going on a street, a dark night, a dog barks and you go away from that place. Beyond that, the words are not just the words. Even the Omkara, the whole Veda is nothing but words which are revealing the knowledge. So the whole world without sun, without moon, without fire, if it can work, it is because of the words, because of the speech. And that's the reason Yajnavalkya says it is because of the speech. And he thinks this is the end of it. Today I will take 1,000 cows and go back home. Shall I go back? This was the question asked by Yajnavalkya. Janaka says, I have the last question for you. And what is the last question? He says, when the sun is set, when you don't have the moon, when there is no availability of fire, and there is no availability or usage of speech, what is that light? What is that light which impels a person to take up any action, move around, do all the activities and relax and rest? What is that light? This is the highest question asked by any seeker. And the answer is light of the lights. Light of the lights. We can see sun, we can see moon, we can see fire, and we can speak. Why? It is because I exist. That is the reason Yajnavalkya says, when there is no sun, when there is no moon, when there is no fire, when there is no speech, there is only one light. which can make any person do any action. That is the light of the self. Atma Jyoti, the consciousness principle. And because of the consciousness principle, anyone can take up any activities. They live, they breathe, they go, they move around, they see the sun, they look at the moon. Everything happens because I exist. And that existence is nothing but consciousness. That's why it is said, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat is existence. Chit is consciousness. Ananda is bliss. So, the Chaitanya, the light aspect of the self, don't imagine any light coming from the heart. No, it is the existence itself makes everyone alive. Otherwise, you can never appreciate any other light without having the self. So that's why then this whole concept of Jyotir Brahmana, which comes in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the chapter number 4, the whole thing comes as an explanation for this question, and he explains the nature of self as the Jyoti, the consciousness principle. And when he says light of lights, in Vedanta, light doesn't mean a tube light or a fluorescent light. No. What is light? Three pointers for light. What are those? First and foremost, light is a principle. Light is not an object. Light is a principle which reveals other objects. Second, light is the principle which reveals itself. These two things you can appreciate even for sun, moon and fire, because sun also, moon also and fire also reveals other objects, and you don't require a torch to see the sun or a moon, so it reveals itself. But the third principle is this light principle of the Atma Jyoti. It cannot or it does not require any other light to reveal it. It is Swata Siddha, always existent, with or without anything. So this rule or this principle applies only to you. If you don't exist, you all know sun may get collapsed, the black hole can happen, the star can die, the moon may not vanish, but everything can vanish. But existence cannot vanish. If existence vanishes, it becomes non-existent, and from non-existent nothing can come, and nothing can go to non-existence. This is what theory of relativity. Nothing can be created, nothing can be destroyed. So he speaks about the consciousness principle, which is existence. And he concludes, Shankaracharya, in one of his work, he says, Antarjyotir Bahirjyotir, Pratyak Jyotir Paratparaha, Jyotir Jyotir, Atma Jyotir Jyotir Swayam Jyotihi, Atma Jyotir Namostute. So the same light which is there within our hearts is appearing as different lights around. Appreciation of this light and recognition of this light makes our life more meaningful, because that light is the true essence of yourself. And the technicalities are too high. I'm not going through the technicalities because this is a story session. So this is the end of the story. Now, what can we learn from this story? First and foremost, Janaka, being a ruler, being a householder, he could make time for Vedantic study. Don't give excuses. I don't have time. Very important people, busy people can make time. And if you can't make time for yourself, I'm not asking to make you time for the whole world. If you can't make time for your own self, what else you would do in the whole life? That's a question mark you need to answer yourself. Second, spiritual genius. Because Yajnavalkya, whoever is genius, they never say, they don't go to any extremes. Vivekananda, in one of his talks, he says, whoever is plunged himself in the materialistic pursuits, he has lost the way. Whoever has gone to the Himalayas, sitting in the caves, he is also lost the way. What is the way? Is finding the peace, reality in the midst of everything. Be here, but be here also, hearing to the instructions, know yourself as the reality. So managing and balancing both material and spiritual. That's what we saw from the Yajnavalkya and the humorous way of dealing with it. Yajnavalkya's gift acceptance. When gift was given, 1,000 cows, he didn't accept. Why? He told, without completing the teaching, I don't take the Guru Dakshina. Anyone, today you can see in any of the schools or educational institutions, whenever people don't, even if they ask for installments, the institution says, we don't want to, we want complete, without even starting the education. But here is a person who says, after completing the teaching only, I will accept the gift. Otherwise, I don't take it. That is the kind of integrity. And that's what he says, I have learned from my father. That means the whole family is like that. Next, Janaka's generosity of giving Dhanam, looking after his citizens as his own children. He was a good listener, good learner, remembered all those things which were taught by other 6 gurus, and even Yajnavalkya, the 6 meditations he taught. When he came, he repeated, and he had learnt whatever, he even told whatever he has practiced. Application of what he had learnt. And mind, that incident when Gurukula we could see, mind was not occupied. Many a times we sit in meditation and we say, 10 minutes I will meditate. Why? The 11th minute I have an appointment with someone else, or I have to call someone. And even while meditating, you will say, okay, 8 minutes, after 10 minutes, whom should I call? What should I speak? Our mind will be always preoccupied with either future, or we'll be always thinking about the past. We'll be either happy about the past events which we remember as good, or we'll be either regretful or brooding about our past mistakes that we have done, and anxious about future. But Janaka here says, I don't think about past. I don't think about future. When I'm here for knowledge and nothing else. When I'm here, I'm not a king. I'm the student. And my duty is to listen to the teacher. If we have this kind of attitude, where I'm doing, whenever I am, wherever I am, I'll give 100%. The quality comes. The quality comes naturally and automatically. And questioning and knowing. He never accepted what Yajnavalkya said. He always questioned. By questioning and questioning alone, you can know things. And Yajnavalkya, we all know, appreciation. When 6 teachers had given different instructions, he never criticized, oh, they have not given complete teaching, they are wrong. No, he told, they are great teachers. They are Matraman, Pitraman, Acharyavan. They had a good parentage. They are from a good lineage of teachers. He appreciated other teachers also, though they had not completed the teaching. Just because you know many things and others don't know much, don't criticize them. Appreciate for whatever they know. This is a great value which a scholar should have, a knower should have. And he didn't give the teaching by himself just because he is a king and he is a guru. He always observed, he tested, and then he made the disciple with necessary disciplines. Then and then alone he gave the teaching. And he was ready to face questions, as we are always. And Jnani is the Satya Sankalpa. He had made a Sankalpa resolution that he would not talk. But when Janaka asked questions, he even foregoed his own Sankalpa for the benefit of disciple. This is the aspect of Guru. He is ready to let go of his Sankalpa because his disciple is asking something more. It is about knowledge. And beyond that, he himself had given the word. Satya Sankalpa, Satya Vachana, means keeping up the promise. Once he had given the promise, he should stick on to it. So much we learn from this. Even the Bhagavad Gita takes a lot of lessons from this. Jyotishamapi tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate. Jyotishamapi tajyotihi comes from the Jyotir Brahmana. Mundakopanishad takes, even Kathopanishad also mentions, na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, naima vidyuto bhanti, kutoyam agnihi, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. There, in the self, no sun comes. You don't require a sunlight. You don't require a moonlight. When you don't require sunlight and moonlight, what is the requirement of a vidyut, electricity or a fire? Words cannot reach. And there, in the depth of your own self, you can find the true light, and that light is your own self. And knowing that self, you will be free from the whole suffering that you have, and you will be in complete bliss. With this, let us also take up a pledge to know the light of lights that is there in our own hearts, appreciate it and recognize it, and live in that, live a life on the basis of the same light of the self. With this, let us conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.